Hello, welcome to this episode of the Liquidicast. I'm joined today by Jonas Rubel and Thomas Euler. And in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about NFTs. Guys, we've been noticing quite a lot of action, quite a lot of companies sprouting up, a lot of news reports and stuff about different entities getting involved into NFTs. And I wanted to use this podcast as an opportunity to kind of ask you guys and just discuss, where NFTs are headed. Who can kind of take advantage of the technology? Who can use them? And yeah, let's just jump on into it. Jonas, you found a couple of interesting articles or some interesting headlines. Maybe you want to.
I mean, for starters, this morning opening up Twitter, I was for the first time confronted with that little pop-up, hey, NFT profile pictures coming up soon. I mean, it was hard to get past screenshots of these things over the last few days. Apparently, it's available to Twitter Blue members first. Twitter Blue members can be in Canada, Australia, the US, and New Zealand, I believe. And I guess since they rolled out the pop-up to the EU now, shouldn't be too long until they make it available here. At least that's my take. And I guess the major news behind this is the big social platforms jumping on the NFT train now.
And I mean, all of them are doing, right? We had also news, I think all this week, we had news that Meta's Facebook and Instagram are both working on their respective NFT solutions and integrations. And YouTube is also working on it according to Susan. I cannot pronounce the full surname, so I will just call her Woosh, like NBA reporter Woosh. So...
Yeah. I mean, I guess it begs the question: like, how far is this functionality going to go? Are they simply going to enable users to upload NFTs that they already own? Are they going to allow NFT creation and minting?
Twitter is pretty precise about this already. So what they will do, or what they plan to do in their first step, is that you can connect your wallet to your Twitter account. So
you can, by the way, it's already there.
Yeah, but then basically you can select all the NFT can select one of the NFTs from your wallet and use this as a profile picture. And while many people have used a screenshot of their NFT as a profile picture already, they will introduce a hexagonal shape of the profile picture, so you will instantly know this one was actually added through the Wallet Connect, or if it's still a round one, it's just a screenshot.
Interesting.
And that is the direction they are for now all taking. I can look again at the article where it was reported that Meta is working on it, or the Meta brands are working on it. But in principle, it's all about allowing users to connect wallets, to showcase NFTs that they have. And then I would strongly suspect that in the case of a company like Instagram that is really about visual art, that we will also see some minting kind of integrations. And what to me really the fundamental question is, especially with a company like Facebook, that for the longest time has taken the closed system approach. I mean, they never had super open APIs, but they became more and more restrictive over time. And how are they going to do it? Is it going to be a real NFT solution that is compatible and interoperable with the wider ecosystem? So using open standards for NFTs, allowing people to have NFTs not only on their platforms, but moving it to other blockchains, layer 2 solutions, and so on? Or are they building weird kind of centralized closed shop things? I mean, Facebook talks, or Meta, I should say, talks about being more open and interoperable when it comes to the metaverse. So there is reason to hope that they do it with NFTs. And if they do, I'm all for what is currently happening, because it's going to really drive this ecosystem forward.
And
what if
I think
don't?
This time we might be really lucky, though. I think NFTs on decentralized infrastructure have reached a critical mass, or like a sufficiently critical mass, where for them it makes more sense to build on these open standards, and this has grown too far, and there's already too much traction on this for them to now launch their own enclosed gardens where NFTs would only exist on Instagram or only exist on Twitter. So I think we're in a good position here for this to really be built on open standards.
Yeah, it's kind of like the NBA Top Shot / UFC Strike versus OpenSea, Solana NFTs. Like, do you want to create a closed ecosystem where the user experience, the technology, the underlying technology actually matters very little, like on Flow, like with Top Shot? Or do you want to create an ecosystem like you just said, Jonas, where it's all interoperable? And yeah, it's two ways of thinking. But Thomas, I want to go back to what you were saying. You said, like, if this is the path, or if this is the route that Meta is going down, then it's good and you're all for it. But what if it's not? What if they do want to create a closed ecosystem?
Well, then I'm curious how people are going to adopt it and what the use case of it is, because I don't think like what is the future of NFTs is not picture or image files and non-fungible tokens on a blockchain combined. That is not the future of NFTs. I mean, that works in the art context, and I think art cannot live on a platform like Facebook, but art wants to be free, wants to be open. But we see more and more of these different contexts where NFTs are being used. And I think we spoke about this before in a different episode. I think it makes a lot of sense to have a nuanced understanding of where the NFT market is going to go, or to understand that it's going to be more diverse and differentiated niches or use cases for NFTs than just what we are seeing currently. So there will be NFTs to power digital items in 3D worlds, including gaming. So these NFTs need to be really cool, need to be open, because that is if the value proposition for the user of such a thing is, hey, you're no longer just having a skin, but it belongs essentially to the publisher, and if he stops the game, it's over. So and especially interoperability makes it cool. Imagine you have a skin in one game, take it to the next game, to take it to, I don't know, your virtual reality office the next day. That is interesting. And then there are other use cases, like we are super creator focused. And I think when we talk about what creators can do, then there is a whole nother world opening up yet again, because for them it is a cool way to engage their audience, but also to a new way to sell content digitally that is very different from other ways, because it's essentially a tool to create limited editions with some extended capabilities, like giving people access to exclusive interactions, like giving people maybe exclusive backstage access at a concert, if we've seen Kings of Leon offer. And so, yeah, different use cases, but very few of them, I believe, can work in closed ecosystems.
Yeah, I mean, there is something interesting, though, when you start to think of Meta, when you start to think of these social networking behemoths, these massive ecosystems where users are spending a majority of their time on Facebook or on Twitter. And if they were to create these closed ecosystems, they do have the benefit, or they have the opportunity, if they chose to make these kind of gamified experiences and to add this social element to the NFTs, so that the NFTs aren't just something that they're putting as a profile picture as some social flair, but the NFTs are actually used within the ecosystem, within the social network. And of course, that's not in everybody's interest, as the industry as a whole, because interoperability is kind of the underlying reason blockchain was created. You know what I mean? It's the decentralization of it all. So there is something there, but I think, like you said, Thomas, if there can be a transfer, you have this skin in one game or in one universe, you can bring it to another. That's where I can see that it can be interesting.
And I think it's for the first time that even the big platforms see that interoperability is going to be beneficial to them, because think of a huge game publisher, think about Fortnite, and they would do a skin as an NFT. And now if both Twitter and Instagram would build their enclosed systems, now basically a game publisher would kind of have to pick sides of whether they want to make it interoperable with the one or the other. Obviously, they could make it interoperable with both, but then then if a lot of game publishers do this, then this becomes a whole technological mess. And so
I don't think it's in their interest either.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for one, ease of implementation, so very pragmatic reason, but also in terms of business case, it makes much more sense to say, hey, why not this time build this on an open standard and everyone can participate? And in the end, let's rather have a little bit of a big pie than all of a very small cupcake.
And I think, Ron, what you said before is not. You can do this and build cool experiences based on NFTs that are exclusive to your platform, while still in principle being using open standards and being interoperable with the wider world. I mean, that is in essence exactly what we are doing with LT Fan Platform, where so you can create NFTs on using a second layer. And you can then do stuff with these NFTs, but only in Fan Platform, like NFT stickers where you post them in your user-generated content, and that only works on Fan Platform. But still, you can move them outside and take them to other marketplaces and different experiences. And so if you think about these platforms, this is how they can build differentiated experiences. And there is precedent to this as well. Think about Gmail. Gmail is also using the default email standards, which are open protocols, pretty old ones, but they differentiated with the user experience and how email felt and was handled. And I think the same can be done with NFTs. And again, it's also what kind of experiences these are, super context dependent.
Yeah, but I slightly challenge the idea that like a closed ecosystem is the right choice. I mean, just when I think of Top Shot and when I think of UFC Strike, like if the assets themselves have utility like the stuff that we're doing, then yes. But there is still interoperability. You could still move them around. With Top Shot and with UFC Strike, you can't move your NFTs. You can't transfer them to a MetaMask, and you can't do anything with them once you have them. Like I recently participated in the UFC Strike first pack drop, got a bunch of packs, opened my packs. I saw that I got nothing of value. What do I do now? What do I do with these NFTs? I can't. I'm not going to publish them on my social feeds. I'm not going to promote them. I can't move them to a wallet. They're just sitting now in my Dapper wallet and not doing much. I can't do anything. Yeah,
and that is currently the problem. And then a few like even let's call them alternative blockchains like Flow, if they are big enough, if they have interesting enough content, NFT content on them, then I suppose they will also be things that bigger platforms integrate with, just because it's in their interest to have these kind of NFTs also featured. But yeah, I mean that is where like if we are in the art context, maybe that's enough, right? Because what do you do with a painting that you buy? You either put it on your wall or you put it in your vault, and then it's there. It's what you do with art. Probably you put it to an exhibition, which you can do with your NFTs. But then in all these other categories that are more consumer focused digital products, and that is just emerging in the NFT space as it becomes more and more mainstream and commonplace. I think exactly the question you are posing is the one that needs answers. And I think the big platforms will provide their own answers to what can you do with NFTs. Because, I think everybody agrees that putting it as your avatar on the platform, it's neat, but it's not the be-all, end-all of NFTs. But would I be surprised if at some point operators or people on Twitter get the option? I mean, they started to introduce subscriptions. Will it be possible at one point to say, hey, this tweet is exclusive to people who have whatever NFTs, a bit like we are doing it on Fan Platform? Who knows? But I think it's something that will be explored.
Certainly.
Yeah, I mean, when I sorry, Jonas, just real quick, when I think about the people who are promoting their NFTs on Twitter or whatever, it's the people with Bored Apes, it's the people with high value CryptoPunks, and I mean, someone like me, I'm like a small fish in the NFT game. I participated in some random drops, some random projects that look promising. Some NFTs that are each worth like maybe 50 euros now if I tried to sell them. And that's something that I wouldn't promote. Like me let's take my persona, my avatar. I'm a layman, I'm just a small retail investor, a small consumer, didn't get lucky, didn't get anything of value. Like, I can't really do much with my NFTs. There's nothing there, to me. They have no value. Like, there's no social clout that I gain from promoting them. There's no utility. I can't do anything with them. So yeah, I mean, there has to be some layer of like consumer adoption, consumer utility, or consumer utility to breed consumer adoption. And yeah, that's the question. I mean, Jonas had a funny story for me yesterday. Jonas, which company they purchased rights to what was it?
The Doom DAO, whatever. Let me briefly pull it up. Doom DAO. In the end, they formed a DAO to collect funds to buy a Doom storybook, if I'm not mistaken. Something based on the game Doom in the end. And they had 3 major plans. One was to make it public domain. The other was to create like a little animated series based on this. And the third one, I don't remember. They actually raised 2.6 million euros, only to learn after they bought the storybook that they didn't buy the copyrights to it, and that basically all of their plans didn't work out. God damn it! What was it?
I mean, the reason I bring that up is just because, like, there is something there. They were onto something. If they simply had the rights, there is something there with content redistribution. Where if I had an NFT and with that NFT came the rights to that media file, that NBA Top Shot moment, then there's really something interesting. But how do we go about getting to that point? Because then you have this entire spectrum of copyright law, and now so much convolution gets introduced if you try to head in that direction.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is about like having standards for this, and these are social standards, legal standards, and technical standards to represent the law. And I'm not talking about smart contracts, but like you say, it's really there is copyright law. There are some other licensing types. I guess many people who listen to us might have come across Creative Commons as another made for digital licensing type. And now the question is, how can you do attach certain rights and be explicit about this with NFTs? And I think it doesn't necessarily happen on the NFT level, but it might at some point. But definitely the platforms and the people who offer it should be really explicit about what you get and what you don't get. Because so the default assumption that you should have if you buy an NFT is that you exactly buy the NFT, that is the token, but not the media asset, unless it is explicitly clear that you also obtain any kind of usage rights, redistribution rights, and then maybe copyrights, but that depends. In the US, for instance, you can transfer copyright. In Germany, you cannot. You can only transfer the right of using and monetizing, and this needs to be explicit.
But Thomas, can you so I'm going to give you a little scenario and tell me if it's feasible. Let's imagine YouTube introduces NFTs or even fungible tokens, right? Let's imagine me as a fan. Let's say I subscribe to Dr. Disrespect, biggest gaming streamer. Let's say Dr. Disrespect has a clip. It's his top performing clip of all time. It's still generating thousands of views per day. Dr. Disrespect wants to sell 30% of that video. Let's just say for an arbitrary number. And he wants to sell and say that any future revenue generated by this video, 30% of it will go to all NFT holders or all fungible token holders. So he basically tokenizes not the asset. So YouTube still owns it. Dr. Disrespect still owns it, but he's simply tokenizing the royal, the revenue that it generates.
Profit participation right, basically.
Yes. That's where I can see.
By the way, YouTube certainly doesn't own it, or not certainly. I didn't read the terms and conditions of YouTube in quite some time, but I'm pretty
Twitch,
sure they don't own it.
I know Twitch doesn't. I don't know about YouTube.
Yeah. But whatever. So let's assume here's this clip. So the scenario that you describe is it technically speaking, it's in principle feasible. There are a few limits to make it really elegant. For instance, having like these distributions of royalties or of revenue would be much smoother if all the revenues would be handled in crypto or at least on the blockchain in the first place. So with the central bank digital currencies being something that we will see emerging over the next few years, I guess this could happen, because then you can have smart contracts automate all of the distribution,
right,
and verifiably so. The second, the bigger hindrance is if you want to do what you described, then so legally speaking you can do it, but it's a security, right? It's a financial security. It's regulated because you're doing dividend payments, and so if you are willing to do this, easy. And like here comes the advantage of big platforms, because so I could see a world in which the platforms just build legal templates and defaults that you as a creator can use to do such things, and that is where scale really matters, because then you can offer it to at YouTube scale. You could really invest into building like 2-3 different legal schemes. You can invest into compliance and all this, and still could offer something like this for maybe free or close to free to the individual creator, because you have the scale. So that's interesting.
They do certainly have the critical mass to even talk to the regulators in that sense. I just also read another thread this morning on Twitter about a German fund, Neufund, which basically tried for a few years now to do regulatory compliant security token offerings. And in the end, they failed because she said, well, in the end, there's nobody ever giving you clear guidance on what is allowed. And as soon as you launch something, then they tell you, no, this is not correct. So in the end, at some point, they quit, frustrated, because it's so hard to find legal guidance on this. And if Google or Facebook come talk to the regulators, I think they would have the chance to come up with something that is in the end then certainly legal and accepted.
Wouldn't that set precedent? So any of the smaller fish or any of the smaller technology providers that are doing similar stuff, including us, like we need the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Twitters to go in and establish a precedent and establish like regulatory compliance. Because then that'll give us all guidance, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that is certainly true. And by the way, I think another angle we didn't talk about when we talked about the big platforms moving in the space, how should companies from the NFT space, all the startups, see it? So here, I guess it really depends on what your product is, what your solution is that you are building, whether or not you should be scared or you shouldn't. By the way, I just double checked, and it's the release about Facebook and Instagram moving into NFTs also mentions 2 things: a prototype to let users mint new NFTs, and others at Meta are reportedly discussing launching a marketplace for users to buy and sell NFTs. So that is also on the roadmap, and I guess like these simple integrations are just the first step, obviously. So me personally, from our Liquiditeam perspective, I love it. I love these news, because this will give more exposure for a general digital public to NFTs as a social technique. And I don't feel like we are necessarily competing with the big platforms, because we are on a different layer, right? So our solution is something for creators to build their own platform and convert their audience from social media to it, but that is a bi-directional relationship, right? So being able to having your digital home essentially and moving NFTs out of there to the big platforms, giving benefits on some of the big platforms to fans and so on. That sounds like a really exciting digital world to me. Then of course, if you are a marketplace and you are looking to scale into a broader public, and then you have Meta coming in that field. I mean, if they do it well, which is to be seen, and I don't know what the likelihood of them doing doing it in a good way that finds the acceptance of the core community of NFTs and also a broader digital public. If they do it well, then of course they have the market power to push out competitors. If we are, as we have seen countless times with startups like Clubhouse and others.
Okay, well, let me ask you something then. Let's say that this does happen. The theme park is built. The rides are built. They follow all safety regulations. Now, the fat Americans who enter the theme park and they want to ride the rides. So all the consumers now. So how are they going to now use them? Or who's going to use them? Who's going to be like the core persona of that uses these, that enters these theme parks?
Well, I guess first of all, the very engaged fan. I mean, in the end, who's going to create these NFTs? In the end, it's going to be an entity happening on these platforms. Usually, this is a creator, an athlete, an actor, like a person of interest.
That's the top of the funnel, right? That's like where it starts. Yeah.
That's like at least that's the one that get the most eyeballs. In the end, they don't produce the majority of content because that's the average Joe, and because they're just so much more of them. But in the end, those ones will probably be the first that dabble around with the NFT integrations, and then the first ones that will use it are most likely going to be their highest engagement fans that also want some form of proximity to their favorite person.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what types of utility that these creators, these top funnel influencers can attach to the NFTs. Like, how much can they incentivize people to come? What can they sell funnel cake? Is there cotton candy? Is there what other theme park? I'm trying to carry this theme park analogy along.
Yeah, I understand, and let me tell you what the stuff is and what the NFT is, because I don't know if the NFT in your theme park analogy is the cotton candy or is the roller coaster. I think the NFT is most likely the access gateway to get into this. I mean, zoom a bit out. We see one trend today. When it comes to, so we saw a move to paid premium content, but all centered around subscriptions. You see all the platforms, from the small ones like Substack to Twitter and so on, they are all bringing subscriptions to their platforms. And I can tell you, Ron, for sure, I love subscriptions. They are a great model if you can pull it off. But there are two things that I'm currently seeing. On the consumer side, there is definitely subscription fatigue, because I don't know about you, but I bet I have like at least 10 subscriptions to different content related services.
And that's just on OnlyFans.
Well, so that is not only on OnlyFans, sadly, but what I can tell you is the following. Like, I don't use several, even my Netflix, because guess what? My wife has a Netflix account. I have a Netflix account. We are mostly using hers. I still don't want to unsubscribe because this is like almost infrastructure to me, and Netflix is in a good position. But if you are an individual creator, nowadays people think not once, not twice, but at least 3 times about whether or not they should subscribe to you, and you have to be extraordinary. And then from the creator standpoint also, in order to pull off a subscription thingy approach successfully, you need to create tons of content on a regular basis, right? You need to be there. I don't subscribe to somebody who publishes a thing a month. And so now, if you combine these two, I think we need for creators alternatives. And I think the concept of NFTs has become the most interesting alternative for creators to monetize their work, because now you have... Subscription is about abundance. NFTs are about scarcity. And now people who create very good stuff, but not on a regular recurring basis, they have the perfect digital tool to pull off a business model, and you sell the tickets to the roller coaster. And what can the roller coaster be? Anything you can do in a digital world. It can be content, which is interesting, but maybe boring. It can be interactions, like the stuff we do, right? Have votings or ideation missions, ask me anything, all exclusive to people who have NFTs, right? I recently said, on LT Fan Platform, it's now the easiest way to create and distribute NFTs and give exclusive perks to your fans. That is our approach. But of course, there will be other digital experiences, like in gaming, right? Why not, if you have this NFT, you can wear this skin, or the skin is the NFT, but also only with this NFT, you get access to this weapon, and so on and so forth. Jonas, hop in.
And now I need to jump back to the theme park analogy, because actually the gaming part was where I wanted to build a bridge. In the end, if the NFT is the access park to the theme park, well, now you're in this world, and if you're the type that likes the action, then you use your NFT. And maybe the gaming world is the analogy to the roller coaster. Here you can like get some thrill, use it in a playful way. Then maybe afterwards, this theme park also has kind of this movie theater thing where you can watch a movie and maybe the seats move and there's like, I don't know, maybe some water spraying around. That's maybe the analogy to using your NFT to access some content. And maybe afterwards you want to get a waffle, and maybe that NFT is your discount code to pay only half the price compared to somebody that doesn't own it. So you can use it.
I mean, but that goes back to access, right? So like access is super relevant. So access to the theme park, access to certain content, access to discount codes. So an NFT is a non-fungible way to basically create a digital ticket, right? So it's like you can't be duplicated, ticketing fraud, all those types of issues with access. Currently, you're on your way. I wrote an article. You're on your way to the stadium. You lose your tickets. Fuck, I can't get into the game anymore. Those tickets didn't actually mean anything. It was just a piece of paper with a barcode on it. You know what I mean? The tickets themselves mean nothing, but the tickets were access to the game. You know what I mean? So like NFTs solve that, but and there has to be more. There has to be another layer. You know?
No, of course, there's another layer, and damn, I'm quoting myself for the second time today, but in an article recently, I think I put it together quite well, because I said, depending on what exactly you do with them, NFTs are some kind of hybrid between limited edition artifacts and content, digital bragging rights, tickets and access permissions, club membership IDs, and ownable memes. So here you have, and that is quite interesting, you have like a canvas, it's almost like a design space, the NFT, and you can do a bunch of different things with them. So yes, it is an access permission, but it can also be, for instance, the limited edition artifact. Think about it like from a musician's standpoint. So one thing I liken NFTs to is like a limited edition vinyl pressing, right? You have these, you can, of course, buy the CD, but you can also spend more money to have the vinyl that exists only 1,000, 2,000, whatever times. So people do this, collectors, fans do it, they spend for this. But now, because you can do such a limited edition music work that you can sell, you also have the additional benefit that because it's a digital object, you can attach different rights or access permissions to it and say, for instance, okay, now you have this, verifiably you currently own this record, but you can also use it to ask me questions. You can use it to attend a live stream, and so on and so forth. Maybe you get exclusive early access to my next video that I'm releasing.
Let me ask you something, Thomas. I mean, I'm just a lowly millennial, so vinyl was never in my childhood. But does it work the same way that tapes did, where you have like an A side and a B side? Like you have your A tracks on one side of the vinyl, you flip it over and you got your B. Is that how it worked?
That is how vinyls in principle work.
Okay,
yeah.
So just to further on that, I think a cool idea is you have your A side. So you get your NFTs, you get all the access that comes with the NFT. And then what if you could do like a chronological release where you say, after 6 months of owning this NFT, you get access to the B side of the vinyl. Like you get all this extra shit. Because then you're now basically incentivizing holding the NFT. You're incentivizing that they're going to get new shit as they hold it. So I guess, the analogy doesn't matter much, but you're basically like giving them more. Yeah, you're giving them more utility, more perks as they hold it and as they promote it. Maybe there's some type of affiliate system embedded into the NFT where the more people that they can bring to purchase NFTs, their NFT gets stronger, or their vinyl gets. shinier.
Yeah, of course.
There's a super cool use case out there, by the way. I don't remember the project's name, but in the end, you would own an NFT, and therefore you would own a song. Everybody could listen to it, though. So in the end, the kind of media asset behind it, as with most NFTs, is kind of accessible by everybody. But there's one difference: only with the NFT, you got access to all the different voice and instrumental layers, and you, as the owner, can kind of recombine these different audio tracks to slightly mix this track up, so you're in control of the song that everybody else can also access, but you're kind of the DJ on the party. And that was a pretty neat idea, I believe.
Yeah, I like that. That's dope. I mean, yeah, dude, there's so many use cases. Once you start to think about the different ways that you can
and it needs
NFTs 1.0 right now. Also something I picked up on Twitter recently, where he's introduced like, hey, we should maybe start talking about NFTs as NFTs 1.0, because most definitely we're going to see a 2.0 and 3.0 edition, and it's most likely going to move much quicker than the Web 1.0 to 2.0 transition, simply because so much infrastructure is already in place, and
I'm getting sick of this naming
so
scheme,
much
though.
quicker. Huh?
We understand UX, and that is important, because everything that you describe depends on the challenge. There is not technological, but I described it as a canvas before. But now we need to give like the tool, the brushes and the colors to the artists who can use it, and that is about getting to the level where it's so easy that you can, with no code solutions, implement all this stuff. And once that is there, it's gonna explode, because people just want it, they crave it. And I see from our conversations, right? If I show how easy it is to create NFTs, give access rights, people who are already thinking about this, they love it so much.
And I also firmly believe that it's not going to take much longer until you will have basically NFT inside things that are not even called NFTs anymore. So basically, this is just going to be nobody says I send you an image on WhatsApp via the internet. It's kind of implied that WhatsApp obviously uses the internet, and so you will simply say, I bought a ticket.
Well,
and there's an NFT underneath. Who cares?
It's going to get a little ridiculous for a bit until it gets to that point, though, Jonas, because it's going to be like, here's your popcorn, sir. Also, there's an NFT that comes with it. If you want butter, you need the silver tier NFT. Like, you piece of shit, just give me the popcorn. But like, Thomas, back to your back to your comment, Thomas. Back to your comment, Thomas, on the on subscriptions. That's another thing. I mean, time is a flat circle. It's going to come full circle where there's then going to be NFT subscriptions. Subscribe to this shit, and you're going to get, every month you're going to get a new NFT.
We love it. There are certainly use cases for NFT subscriptions, but they are different. That's a different proposition and a different thing than what I talked about before. So I guess I've not come across anybody offering NFT subscriptions. Maybe somebody in the world does, but as I don't know it, let me just claim that we are the first to build the NFT subscription solution. And why did we do it? So it's fairly simple. Think about art collector clubs. There are these services on the web where you can subscribe, and then you get a new piece of art, usually not from
Dollar Shave Club. All these types of services.
Yeah, you have these services, and I think in the context of digital art, that makes sense. It also makes sense if you want to build like a platform that has art, like not graphical art, visual art, but has like music and other things. And also, if you are a creator who pulls off a lot of regular output, you can also offer these subscriptions. But that is a different proposition from the proposition of saying, hey, I'm a creator, I want to monetize my content, but I alone don't have the output, and I think my fan base is skeptical of subscriptions. Then still there is a way that you can attach all the perks to NFTs and do one-off sales, which it's much easier to convince me to pay you a bit of money once instead of subscribing. Ask all the charity salespeople on the streets when they come to me and I say, okay, I give you $20 now, and they say, no, you need to subscribe and do a 1-year contract, and I say, thank you, but no thanks.
Yeah, it also introduces the opportunity for like auctions, where when you do one-off sales, like someone like Beeple, if he did a thing where it's like, yo, subscribe, and every month you're going to get the newest, graphic NFT. It kind of caps your ceiling in a way,
Sure.
With auctions, it's like, yo, come get it while it's hot.
And talking ceiling capping, I think another point that people who are deep in the NFT space right now, and many of them come from crypto originally, and they will hate what I'm going to say now, but I'm nevertheless convinced that the biggest barrier of entry currently for regular digital users or users of digital products, non-crypto products, is the onboarding to crypto and the necessity to acquire NFTs with cryptocurrency, which not all platforms do. And like for instance, NBA Top Shot already does it in a different way, and I see more and more. But that is having stuff payable in good old digital payment methods like credit card or PayPal or you name it. That will make it so much more accessible, and the OGs won't like it, but we are talking about a very different market segment here.
What do you mean by OGs? Do you mean like the original crypto people?
Yeah, the crypto people, the NFT people, the in crowd right now. I mean, to them, it's part of the fun that they can use their ether for acquiring NFTs. And
I'm not so sure they don't like it. I mean, if you as a platform build a mechanism inside that basically as soon as the user clicks buy, select credit card, then in the background there happens a little ETH purchase, which is then transferred on behalf of the user. In the end, they are not going to care about that UX improvement too much. What they do care a lot about is this whole thing of owning your own keys and owning your own assets. That is, I think, something where the OG crypto folks are much more opinionated, that it needs to be a non-custodial wallet and that you actually own the asset and not somebody else is keeping it for you.
Well, let's see. I think a fair amount of people in the space also has a high interest, including self-interest, that a cryptocurrency adoption increases.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little off topic. I guess I wanted to just ask you, Jonas, like, do you think that desire to keep self-custodialism, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Do you think that that's because they want to perform sketchy things? They want to avoid taxes? What's the core incentive or motivation?
I think it's a fundamental belief that you should be able to own your own stuff. I mean, so one thing that you read continuously is, whereas our banking system, I feel in Europe is quite nice. I haven't heard too many bad banking stories from people.
Same.
I've read countless threads on Twitter about people that had their bank account closed without notice.
Jonas, I literally moved
involved in the crypto business. Yeah,
I moved from the States to here, and I even told my bank, "Yo, I'm moving. Like, don't close my shit, please." And 2 months after I moved to Germany, they closed everything, and it took me a good amount of time to get my funds from them.
Exactly, and now you there's the following situation: you own money, you earned this, and then you give it to somebody to perform some sort of service for you, and that is namely safekeeping and offering transfers digitally. And now all of a sudden, this entity decides, well, we're not so sure if this is your money anymore, and you have to jump through some loops to get back to it. And basically, this is something that pisses people off.
And in the past,
they think you should build this new technology in a way where you actually get to own this and you don't have to deal with these entities, at least if you want to. If there's some custodial services that are very convenient to use, fair enough. Yeah. But you should always have the option to say, this is mine, I want to own it, I want to have full control of it. And that's, I think, an ideology more than a real, I don't know, any other motivation.
It makes me question the fact that a lot of traditional banking entities or advocates say, there's regulatory issues, it becomes a security, like Thomas mentioned. But I mean, what is the bank doing with everybody's money? They're investing it. They're also, investing and playing with people's money. and we used to get interest on the money that we store with the bank in our savings accounts or whatever. Now they actually charge you. Not only are they playing around with your money and using your money to make money, they're also charging you to do that. Like, it's actually pretty crazy when you start to think about it.
Yeah.
And those are the people who talk the most shit or talk down on blockchain and crypto. I mean, it's a power struggle, right?
Most def.
Yeah. And we nicely got off topic there. I think I'll bring it full circle, wrap it up, and say thanks, guys. That was a great conversation. Maybe one of our best so far.
I would say so.
Hey, guys! It was a joyride, a roller coaster joyride.
It was a roller coaster. It surely was.
Was good. I mean, look. What is really interesting is this NFT topic never gets boring, because it's developing so fast. So we will be revisiting this a few times.
But that's why when Jonas said, "Oh, we got NFTs 2.0 coming out," I wanted to say, like, I'm starting to get tired of that naming mechanism. Like, there's Web 2.0, Web 3.0, NFTs 2.0. There's Metaverse. There's going to be Metaverse 2. Like, dude, it's evolving so fast.
Yeah, and the thing is that these classifications only make sense in retrospect. Like, in a few years, you will be. It's probably much easier to say, well, that was kind of the transition to this new stage. While you're in the process, it doesn't make sense.
Like, I think we're in 1.7 right now. Like, it feels like 1.7.
Update is out. Beta.
New patch.
Ron, I agree. It's like a naming scheme. It's especially it's lazy. It's so lazy to just attach like version numbers to stuff. And so I have a homework for you. Before we do our next episode, you think about what is the better naming convention for the current generation of NFTs and the next generation of NFTs. I mean, I guess you already proposed something. You in your utility NFT classification framework.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are words that better define the different like eras, right? Yeah. So you have like static
and types,
static assets, like art, like fucking, images, art, GIFs, whatever, stuff like that. And then you have like, utility things that grant access. You have gaming NFTs. I mean, what's next? Next is like you become an NFT. Is Ron now an NFT? And people can purchase me and I don't know, rent my time. Maybe I'm a coach or a consultant and I sell myself as an NFT, and whoever owns my NFT gets an hour of coaching with me.
Yeah, I love that idea in your recent piece. I think we mentioned a bunch of other stuff that we can put in the show notes so people can find it if they are interested in it. And
on a good reminder, if anybody wants to read up on that NFT DAO story, it wasn't Doom, it was Dune.
The movie, right?
And it was called the Spice DAO. But let's put it in the show notes. There's a Wired article that's pretty detailed about it.
So if you liked what we are doing here, of course, subscribe to this podcast. You find us on all the platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you are listening to your favorite podcasts. And please give us a rating, 5 stars, and a good review, which is going to help us and spread the word.
Also subscribe to Thomas OnlyFans.
All 10 of them.
All 10 of them.
He wears different costumes in each one. Anyway, you'll find our social handles in the show notes as well. Give us some follows. We share some threads. We share both Liquiditeam based product stuff and announcements and news. We also share just kind of thoughts on industry trends and the like. So thanks for joining, and thanks for listening.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.